Hi, I'm Guney.
Hi, I'm Harald Schmidt.
We are the co-chairs of RExPO25.
Welcome to the 4th edition of our international conference.
The nice thing over the years, organizing also this conference several times, we have learned a lot on the challenges, on the use cases, the stakeholders involved. And I think specifically this year, we try to cover in a broad manner all of this interdisciplinary aspect.
The presence here in the RExPO25 plenty fulfills the expectations. It is a complete conference on the whole topic of drug repurposing, since the methodological computational tools, identification of the targets, but it goes also to the definition of the policies and the reimbursement and the final goal of placing the repurposed drug on the market and on the people.
I think that indeed you have many different aspects that are covered by the conference. Clearly the threats, I would say, is to think system biology. That is a clear message, and how, of course, artificial intelligence can help. And the important thing is to innovate, and to innovate together for the benefit of Europe, both as innovation and also competitiveness, because we need to run together to be faster and to be better. But last but not least, of course, for the benefit of the patient, which means the citizens, because one day or the other we will all be patients.
I bring a completely different perspective. We represent actually the organizations that need to reimburse repurposed medicine. So we are a very important player in this area. What I don't want people to forget is that we want all universal access to healthcare, and if we want to maintain this, we need to make sure that people have access, can afford medicine, and also that those medicines are available. So why did I come here? To present that idea, but also because I really like the openness of the discussions working on repurposing. It's a multidisciplinary area, and we need to bring all the bits and pieces together.
We are implementing a one-stop shop for drug repurposing, and to present our work is exciting and also challenging, because there is a very different mindset between scientists and technology people. This is the reason that we've been working on a sort of real-life demo.
For me personally, I see that many scientists are developing different AI-assisted tools in order to accelerate this drug repurposing projects, and so I am also curious to find how those tools will be sustained and how can be integrated in our RePo4U platform. So I am looking forward for a very intensive and more technology focused seminar.
It's good because we are living in an incredible moment in which a number of things that were developed during years but now are crystallizing in reality. The computational capacity, now there is all this movement in Europe to have real power, artificial intelligence in the middle of all that. We have the capacity to do incredible things, and we are doing incredible things without forgetting that there are constraints and limitations and dangers. And I think to keep an equilibrium, to do things in a trustable framework that in biomedicine is obviously needed. The problems are real problems. Treating diseases with real people, providing solutions requires a full technical development, a full scientific development, and then an implementation. At the end of the day, we need drugs to treat diseases. Developing drugs is a challenge, is a complex problem. So this full idea of repositioning drugs from one indication to another indication is extremely powerful, in a sense that a part of the regulatory and assessment has already been done, and then it's easier to move these drugs. We need more knowledge. We need to understand better the pathways, the conditions, the diseases, the comorbidities, to be able to do this with more knowledge in a more effective way.
The field is very fast-paced, right? So a lot of things are happening in a very short time. And in my talk, I showed that the field needs better standardization, and that the methods are not performing as well as people think, because the evaluation is basically biased at the moment. So there's a lot to do. But we also had other interesting talks in the session that were also showing like where is the field really going. Everyone has seen in their daily life that AI has made big strides in the recent years and also has a big impact on all of the fields in science, including drug repurposing. But it also shows the value of having really a science collaboration within such a big project, because having scientists that are close to these changes and how they affect the science behind it also means that you can basically adapt to these changes more rapidly.
What we have learned is drug repurposing obviously has some logical advantages. The drug is on the market, you have a new indication, you have potentially very quickly a new therapy. And we're now entering the phase in this fourth conference that we see the validations. We see it works in cancer models, in Alzheimer models and so forth. Models, trials. We want this precision and clinical proof, and that's happening. But we see already sort of 1 or 2 steps ahead. The real hurdle will be this reimbursement, fair prices.
We want precision medicine to be accessible to the largest amounts of people, because as researchers, we believe in the common good. But we operate in a system that is profoundly tied to regulators, and regulation is a good thing. So we need to acknowledge that we do need to try and find ways to fit systems medicine and repurposing, repositioning approaches in the biotech R&D framework, which also depends on private investments. So we have to strike that balance. And of course, drug repositioning, repurposing also cuts costs, so that's an advantage. But there needs to be a return, so there needs to be strong intellectual property. And we need to strike that balance between making it accessible with decent pricings. So we also have to cap pricings, but the returns need to be still acceptable within the framework of what investors are willing to accept.
Nobody is an enemy in the entire game, but you need to understand the motivation that is behind the different players in this game. For HTAs, it's always very difficult because we are often considered the enemy. We have to be the ones that ensure equity, and repurposing is such a no-brainer when it comes to saving and probably finding also treatments for patients that are just not interesting to big pharma. But it is very important to understand that the science moves into the reimbursement decisions and that you cannot disconnect these two from each other. I think we heard also during the meeting that it makes more sense to actually collaborate and talk to each other and transfer knowledge instead of trying to reinvent the wheel over and over again.
My vision for the future is, I think data will talk. We have already the first clinical successes. There are other people having these successes. Next year, data will talk, and we are now preparing 2 call for actions. One is for our platform. The other one is on rare diseases. We have had so many contacts from rare disease patients, and we have gathered a whole workflow, an international team together with students that will work on rare diseases.
I think it's going to be very exciting to actually see this like proof of principles that now we are showing that they're working, scale up and make a big impact on multiple indications. So it's actually very exciting times if you think about it, like next year, like you said, or maybe 2-3 years from now, we will be like having a tipping point, I think, like in terms of making an impact.